Hello, dear students. I hope you are ready to start our Module 3, which is Autonomy and ICTs. I have decided to create this input video to walk you through and help you with the contents of our third module. Before we get started with Module 3, I would like to make some acknowledgments about our Module 2 work. So first of all, thanks a lot for our hosts, Herman, Natalie, and Paola. I think you guys did an excellent job in the weaving of discussions and in the conversations that we were having. Also, I would like to acknowledge the work as weavers that Levis, Jason, Ivan, Julie, and Karen did. You managed to keep the conversation going, to be very active in the discussion, and that's something that's desirable in our context now. And also, I would like to acknowledge interesting questions being asked by Karen, I'm sorry for the typo, Jason, and Levis. So, guys, you sparked the discussion with your very thought-provoking questions. So, excellent. That's something that we need to keep coming for the next subsequent modules. However, there were some things that we need to avoid for next modules. First of all, there were too many discussions initiated, and some of them had 0 replies. This especially in the Strategies for Working Collaboratively forum. So please, guys, don't start discussions. Look at point 3. It is better to thread the discussion than to initiate a new one with similar ideas. And on the other hand, also, if you're given options, I suggest you to choose only one. The idea is not to go overboard, not to feel stressed and overwhelmed with the quantity of work that you have. So, Module 3 is about autonomy and ICTs. I would like to start by asking you to reflect upon these two questions. Are they connected? Is it true that new technologies are helping students develop autonomy? This is something going on around in the literature, in the websites that I visit, in conversations that we have with people. Autonomy and ICT seem to be very connected. But how? What is this connection? To what extent do students actually become autonomous because of the fact of using technology? Is it true? So let's hope that the module helps us answer these questions. Our readings for this module are 8 readings. All of them are suggested readings. So it doesn't mean that you don't have to do any of them. It means that you have to choose the ones that you want to do. And of course, don't forget your organizational strategies to keep your information very, very organized and in one place by creating your mind map. So I'm going to walk you through a little bit of some of the readings that we're going to have. We have Gonzalez and San Luis. These two ladies did a study about the implementation of Web 2.0 tools for the development of autonomy. They say Halleck's classic definition of autonomy states that it is the ability to take charge of one's own learning, which is to have and to hold the responsibility for all the decisions concerning all aspects of learning. So it's the idea of decisions that we have been discussing from Module 1. We saw Benson, Halleck, and Benson is one more of our readings. However, it is a book. Yeah, it is a book. I don't know if you guys have access to it, but anyway, if you could, it would be great. We just have 4 pages in our references list, but if you have the book, it is a good resource. Again, in Gonzalez and San Luis, since integrating technology into our classes in 2002, we have seen a steady increase in our learners' willingness to participate actively in their own learning process. So for Gonzalez and San Luis, the findings were very positive. They actually found the students were motivated to participate in their learning process after using technology. I invite you to read this text with a critical eye and see if you could implement or replicate the study in your context. Second, we have Sugata Mitra. I don't know if you have heard of him. He is a professor in the Newcastle University. He's also worked in MIT from Massachusetts. And this person is, he's very convinced about students' ability to learn on their own. You have a link to one of his talks for TED. I don't know if you know TED. TED is a conference, like web conference site in which I invite you to check his talk and to listen to it with a very, very critical view of what he's doing. Give me 1 second. It's not about making learning happen, it's about letting it happen. For Sugata Mitra, it is clear that sometimes teachers and institutions actually hinder learning, not promote it. So if you decide to watch this talk, I invite you to do your mind map anyway and do it in a very, very critical way. Why do I say critical? We have Halves, 2002, who criticizes directly Mitra's work. He says, digital technology is great for learning autonomy, we hear, but is it? He has this very ironic tone in his website, and I think it's very good to make us think critically about this issue, so I strongly recommend this. If you listen to Sugata Mitra's talk, it is recommended that you read this article, to see the two sides of the story. He says, the problem is that Mitra is helping to spin a whole series of mystifications, and he ends up affirming something that, once we see it in a more critical light, starts to look like a new kind of servitude. It's very, very strong. So I really recommend to read this text. It's very enlightening. We have another one, Fernandez, 2000. He says, the result is a more dynamic approach to teaching English so that students gain autonomy with the instructor acting only as a coordinator, supervisor, and tutor. This piece, this extract, belongs to the abstract of his paper. When you read this, you think, whoa, this paper is really good. However, when you read the whole paper, you might find there are some holes in the research. So I invite you to read this one with a very critical eye to see why it is kind of not rigorous. It is not rigorous, the study. So, I don't know, I just want you to go for it and read it. And also we have Romero and Dominguez, 2011. These two ladies make a chapter, or well, a plenary in one event. Sorry, these papers are all the proceedings for a conference. So you can have access to the whole PDF book for all the entire conference, which is all around fostering learning autonomy. Very interesting. But you are just invited to read this one for this module. However, if you want to go any further, be my guest. So they say one solution is to ask such students to work with more technology literate partners. After all, autonomous learning does not mean working alone. It is interaction with others. Sinclair, 2010. It is very interesting. They do a study in Mexico, and it is about a self-access center and how people going to the self-access center actually developed autonomy in working with technology. So interesting results here. So some ideas about technology and autonomy. Buzzwords, they have become buzzwords. Everyone talks about it, but no one really knows the real meaning. Second point. What is autonomy? What is ICT? What is the combination of both? Does it necessarily mean that because my students are using a computer, they are going to become more autonomous? Or is it that it is a serendipitous accident, that they do become autonomous, but it's not because of something particular? Or is it grounded and rooted in the planning and designing of different technological affordances that actually autonomy tends to happen? We want to have these concepts very clear because in autonomous learning environments, the idea is that you create your own learning places. So you have to think about how to develop autonomy through technology. What kind of technology are you going to be using? Are you going to be using only ICTs, or are you going to be using more rudimentary technology like laptops and let's say tape recorders and CD players, Somebody mentioned it in the discussion. Some schools are just not ready for a full technological implementation, but they do still need something. So how is that going to go? And don't forget our first module. We had lots and lots of texts in regards to autonomy. We had self-efficacy, metacognition, motivation, self-regulation, self-directed learning, and all of these concepts are all rooted under the term autonomy. So anything that we read for module 1 is going to be applicable here. Now what we want to do is to find a connection. So these modules work. You need to read and you need to solve a problem in teams, in the teams that you selected during the previous module. Our activity is to read a problem, okay, to solve a problem. This is Jorge, a high school English teacher with very little experience with technology, who is having serious issues with his students. This you find in the forum and the activity, so I'm gonna just move on. In groups, you're going to create an action plan or solution for the teacher experiencing the problem described above. Your action plan needs to consider the following aspects. Specific actions to tackle the problem. What can he do to tackle the problem? Time frame for the implementation. How long do you think it is going to take him to actually make a difference in his students and in himself? Changes in teachers' attitudes and behaviors. What does he need to change in regards to his beliefs or his practices in order to solve the problem? And 4, changes in students' attitudes and behaviors. What do students need to do to contribute to the solution of the problem? Your action plan has to be between 250 and 350 words. I want to be very clear about this. Longer or shorter plans won't be considered. Why? Because the thing is that we need to start learning to summarize, to be concrete and concise. So I am just going to give you that limit for you to work on it and to be very, very precise in the solution of the problem. You should post the action plan solution to the corresponding space in Virtual Savannah, and you should reply to at least 2 groups posts. This part of the activity can be done individually. Guys, I want to be very clear about something. The fact that you work in teams doesn't mean divide the work. Doesn't mean I solve the problem and you post it. If you're going to do that, it's better not to do it. Yeah, it's better not to post anything. The actual idea of working in teams is to collaborate, to make decisions together, to negotiate. So you can have a telephone call, you can have a Skype call, a hangout, and discuss the problem, decide on the actions, decide on the solutions, and together, using a Google Docs, work together on creating the post. It's not that difficult anymore with the use of technology. So I really encourage you to work together and to give this your best. Okay? As always, your posts and replies should be supported by the literature. We want to see that you actually read and internalized the readings. So, important information for Module 3. Module 3 will close on September 14th. That is Sunday, 8 days from now. Plan accordingly, since September 12th and 13th we'll have the CLIL Symposium in the department. Those of you who are participating, you still need to do the activities for the module, so you guys need to be very organized. And continue working on forums. I mean, you guys have done a great job. The forums are our means of communication. And I think this course has been very, very positive. It has been really great. So I hope you feel the same way. It's not as horrible as you might imagine it is. It is actually a matter of organization. Remember, don't start threads with similar ideas. Okay? Try to go and post something that is similar to you in another person's post. Well, guys, keep calm and study smart. Not study hard, study smart. Okay, you have to optimize your time, take some time to rest, eat well, sleep well, yeah? Have the occasional fun activity, okay? And study smart. Don't forget, contact me whenever you need, okay? As the song says, I'll be there for you. Okay, guys, so I hope this was illustrative, and I hope you're ready to start with Module 3. It's my pleasure to be your tutor. See you later.